Hey, check it out. We've got things today. Endless things going on today. Hey, look, the first 16 seconds are finally gone. Did you put a ring on it? I hope so. I hope so. Oh boy. Let's see, I'm not really prepared today. I've got all kinds of weird things in here. Up in here. Where'd I put everything? You should always be prepared, they say. And then, I'm missing something. Anyway, books are in there somewhere. I don't know. We'll just wing it. Shall we just wing it today? We usually just wing it. Somebody put this in the mailbox. I'm not sure why. Why would you put this in the mailbox? I mean, some kind of weird thing. It says, join for $1 down and $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deals ends February 16th. I don't know. Is there a QR code in here somewhere? Maybe there isn't. No QR code. Do people know about Planet Fitness? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of on the fence about going to a gym. They told me it's kind of creepy these days. I mean, they say that like if you're a guy and by accident you want to help someone else with putting some weights on their bar or something, they look at you funny and they use their phone and they try to make you out to be a creep or something. I don't know. So I guess nobody's doing that anymore. So I'm not sure if I want to join gym. I think I'd rather just stay at home with my weights, and I've got my motivational robot, and she's nice. She doesn't say any weird stuff. Oh gosh darn it, modern generations. It's hard to be a dude these days, isn't it? Okay, so with all of that toxic masculinity, I mean, you wanna help people out, but they feel like being good to them is bad. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know. It's a weird time. We're living in weird times, guys. So, what? Wasting electricity here. Don't need the engine on for this. So look, a while back, I had a Brookstone. These things are really cool. They're called 3D pens. Brookstone Updraw 3D sculpting pen. I thought it was just 3D pen, but anyway, this is a 3D sculpting pen, even cooler. They also had a kid version, which I donated to one of the schools here in Irvine, which is pretty cool. I got to do a little demonstration of 3D printing over there. Anyway, back in the day when I was still creating things, and it was a long time ago, I was hoping to create things that I could actually hold in my hands, and by that, back then, the 3D printing technology was not accessible enough. It was not affordable enough. So I did whatever I could to create what I could. And the 3D pen was a lot cheaper than a proper FDM or resin printer. So that's what I had. And so what I did was I created my own, well, sadly, it's been in the garage for many years. So eventually the heat got to it and it popped, it broke. But this was one of my first designs. It doesn't even have a rear anymore. But it came from this flat that you see right there. You see, this was the flat thing. I made it so that you could do. You could print this out if you wanted to. If you want one of these things, just let me know. I can copy it, give you a digital copy. Then you can cut it out and build your own. A good buddy of mine built one of these, which was really fun. And yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool back then. I think I also gave him he bought one of my 3D printers at a savings very recently, so that was pretty cool too. Anyway, for the longest time I have been creating these designs, and again, if you go back 10, bit more than 10 years ago, this kind of design for a vehicle was kind of unseen. There were not a whole lot of these things. Like this is now 3D printed, as you can see there. And it took forever for me to be able to bring a product that I loved to fruition, such as this. So many different years. It took 9 years. And by the time I created all these cool things, the industry had moved on already. The industry had moved on. And now, if you walk around the streets, you'll find cars that kind of look like this. So I missed the boat on being able to make money on that. Again, as I always tell you guys, the issues that you will run into as entrepreneurs are similar situations such as these. Like back in the day, I had this company here, www.davison.com. Anyway, I used that company there to try to create the Bumpaflex, a system that already exists today in cars, because somebody else must have figured it out and created it, since I did not have the money to create it, so they make money on it. Systems that would allow you to attach exterior bumpers, so it's an aftermarket product. You can stick those things on your cars, and I saw a lot of those in New York, of course, because that's where people bump each other the most. And so that is where they are most useful, if you will. But anyway, back in the day, many years ago, when my daughter was still super young, we would hang out in the garage, and I've got a couple hundred pictures here. I'm just gonna flash at you, so you guys can see some of the ridiculous things that I did with her to inspire her creativity as well. Of course, none of the stuff that I did back then made it anywhere, because we're living in a society of no's. As Eli, the computer guy, pointed out so well, we're living in a society of no's. Everything is no. Everything is, well, you could qualify for this if. And so if I had one investor of high caliber, because I was lucky, I got a lot of little investors here and there, but they never amounted to something serious. So I could have been someone, not saying Elon Musk, no way, nowhere close, but by now I should have been making, something like somewhere in between the range of 50 to maybe 75 grand per year. That would have been realistic. Anyway, so look, this is a Charles the Great original. I didn't draw this one. This is all Charles. He's amazing. He went to a really good art school here in Southern California. But anyway, I'm gonna flash a couple of cards at you guys, so you guys can see some of the things that I did that are still on that concept design. And we built these, and so basically I drew the thing, and then my daughter colored these in. I think she was, I don't know, 2.5, maybe 3. So she was helping me color these out. It was quite fun. And then also here with the Woodbridge Association, they had a picture contest. So we entered into the picture contest because I literally, and again, there's just like 3 of us in a family here. We didn't know many people. So we did a really cute video, picture, and entered it into contest. And it was basically my daughter laying flat on all of these cool cars and stuff. And as usual, the algorithm of whatever didn't show it, so we got basically nothing. I even ran a Facebook campaign, right? Because like back in the day, I tried a Facebook campaign. Let's see if we could monetize and then send people to the thing. And the Facebook campaign, for which I paid money for, yielded absolutely nothing. Which is why I tell you guys, and how I know that those things are absolutely a pile of baloney. The second you stop paying, all the views go away. I think it basically, I did the best to maximize the, whatever you call that, SEO or whatever. And the best that we got The best that we got was, I think maybe it reached 100 people. Put a lot of money into it. YouTube is what it is. You know, I try to use YouTube. I try to use all kinds of things to help my daughter's picture make it somewhere. So, because we were trying to get a GoPro, the award for that was to get a GoPro, which would have been nice. But we didn't even get close to it. It was either I think they had multiple challenges. This was her. She created this herself. She was trying to copy Daddy's stuff. It's really cute for a tiny tot. This was a funny thing that we made. This is supposed to be Charles the Great over here, and me having a little fight. This odd style drawing. And we did some shoes, because why not? You know, can't always be about cars, hanging out with the cute girls. Gotta make some shoes. It's funny, this is how she used to do. Can't really see it well. I don't know. Anyway, there's letters and numbers that she was working on. At the Montessori, we had the Danielian thing going on back in the day. She made more of these cars herself. She colored in some more of the shoes. The shoes are fun. The shoes. And I think we went to Boudin, and they had this funny coloring sheet thing. And on the back you had like a puzzle. Anyway, Boudin. You can get Boudin stuff here at the Spectrum for sure. Was it? Wait, no. Can't remember. Drawing blanks. I draw blanks a lot. I think it maybe was South Coast Plaza. Had a kind of a Saint Say-ish thing there. More cars. Anyway, yeah, so that was an interesting story. So we tried to apply for the best picture out there, and we didn't even get close. But I don't think many people got to see the pictures to begin with, so we didn't really have a chance. Like, if we had like hundreds and thousands of people that we'd known in Irvine, we could have just shown it to our friends. They could have given us a leg up, but no. This is why I tell kids, it's so important. If you're going to go to university, don't just go to university to learn skills. Go meet some influential human beings. Figure out what your teachers know and how they got into teaching and all that stuff like that. Just ask millions of questions. Don't waste your time just learning skills. Learning skills alone is not going to do anything for you. It's just not. I went to 3 different schools. I got 3 different degrees, certifications. It didn't help me none because I didn't understand that what's important is to make meaningful connections with people who are successful, who are going to go out there and do cool things in the real world, who are going to be sharks out there and can make things happen. Just look at Zuckerberg. He used somebody else's idea, but he knew how to implement it. So he made all the money. The other guy got screwed. That's kind of how it works. Guys. If you don't know how business works, you will get screwed. That wasn't the best. It was kind of like fast. Some of the other ones that we did. And we spent hours and hours having fun in the garage doing these things. And the best part, of course, was that she got to do the coloring, right? And I got to do some sketching. Look at all these guys. They're like Picasso's in movement. Oh golly. Look at that. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, imagine if these concepts that you guys are seeing, again, so many years ago. So this stuff here looks pretty cool, but it's kind of irrelevant now, right? Because you've seen these actual cars in real life and people driving these things now. So they're kind of like not that amazing anymore. They were amazing. If you'd seen one of these concept cars, 10 years ago, you would have been like, oh wow, that is so cool. I wish they had those driving around. I wish. And again, I had all these concepts and was making this kind of drawing all the way back, even 15 years back. But again, it was all about getting the skills, so then I could actually draw the real things, right? So it took forever to get to the point where I could do that. There was even a point where I was commissioned to create this poster here for Hope Island. There was a book that was coming out, Hope Island. So I made this. There's obviously better pictures of these things that you guys are seeing. And they're all online on Facebook. If you guys type in Marvimation into your Facebook, they're all there. You can see them. They're all there. And then the company that I created with the help of a lot of artists, because I didn't do all the work. There's no way that somebody can do all the work that's on there by himself. So I always give credit where credit is due. And I had a whole website, as I said before, back in the day, with Marvimation, where I had everybody's photos up of who worked for the company and all the credits and stuff. And then there was one person that got upset. I want to take my picture down from it or whatever, for whatever reason. And then her and I think her lawyer took it down. They took down the whole website. I said, I gave them permission to take down that one picture. I said, just because I couldn't remember. With my mental issues, I hadn't touched the Wix system, so I didn't even remember how to go into there and remove the picture that was on there. So I said, I've given you permission to use whatever your lawyers or whatever. Just ask Wix to go in. One of their technicians can go in and remove your picture. No, they just tanked the whole thing. But anyway, look at this. These are two of my favorite entrepreneurs and anchors from Bloomberg. You got Matt Miller and Emily Chang, and we had some amazing artists make digital versions of basically 3D versions. These are not 3D printable, but we could ask the nice artists if they wanted to have them made 3D printable. But that is cool. This is I've always been a fan. See that people ask me, well, you say you're a fan of these people, but what did you do? Like, this is stuff that was created many years ago, as early as 2011. So when I talk about stuff, I always bring you stuff. And again, these pictures are available. You guys can go check them out. They're on the Facebook group Marvimation. Again, same thing. Again, remember that Obama guy? Well, these are posters that I made of Obama. Unfortunately, this does not do it justice. There's colored versions of this, again, on the Facebook group. And the funny thing about these is, again, it's not visible very well here, but you will be able to do, because you can zoom in on the pictures if you go onto YouTube. Not on YouTube, onto Facebook. But I created these. This is Obama's face, obviously, use a poster. But I put Coca-Cola cans, Coca-Cola bottles, across the entire thing. So I basically remade this image with Coca-Cola, and you had Coke Zero. I think you had the regular Coke in a bunch. Was it Coke cans or Coke bottles? I can't even tell now. I need to go back and fish it out. It was on the Facebook group back in the day. And again, take a look at this. This was one of the awesome artists that worked for me. He made the Toyota Love. If you look at the recent Toyotas, they kind of look a little bit like that, don't they? Again, this is not me saying that it was my concept. They stole my concept or anything. I'm just saying that the stuff that we've been making with Marvimation has been there for a very long time. So it could have been even one of the awesome creators that worked at Marvelmation that went off to do those things and became famous. And as you can see, as of late, look at this. This is Walmart creating the same kind of concept vehicle as in my designs, as you can see that. So Walmart may be having some trucks or like minivans that look just like the things that I've been drawing for years. And look at this one. Look at this. Prime. This was one of my concept vehicles. It's called No Wheels for Fun. But isn't that the same? Look at that. Isn't that pretty much the same? And then the Toyota. You can see this was one of the other ones that we made. Toyota H2Go. H2Go. But look at this. This is one of the latest Amazon sports cars, right? Amazon sports cars. Look at that. 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 Anyway, so yeah, I thought I'd just show you guys some of the stuff. Again, in a society of no's, people like me, again, it took me forever to become somebody who would even be able to jump in front of a camera and talk for like 2 seconds. I would be stuttering, I would be shaking my legs and stuff. And I probably would still be shaking if I was to do the same thing that I'm doing on camera in a live setting. I mean, singing is different. Singing is different, especially if you've got like a band with you and stuff. You feel more comfortable. You feel like you're supported by a group. But just you in front of hundreds of people and then just talking, that's not something that all of us can do well, especially not me. So anyway, yeah, imagine if America had been the America back in the day, right? The old America, not the new America. The new America, which is, it's all about, do you qualify for this? Are you good enough for this? It's so super competitive, like all the game shows. You can name them like a million different game shows. It's all about, did you qualify? Were you good enough? Are you the elite? And again, as Patrick McDavid will say, in any situation, even when there's layoffs and stuff, the top dogs will always find new jobs, right? The people you need to worry about are the middle of the road and the lowest, the just barely scraped by with enough skills too. Those are the people which will always struggle, right? Anyway, so what was I going to say? So yeah, in a society where it was back in the day when you used to come to America, when my dad was here, you could have started off working at a restaurant peeling potatoes and then make it to be the CEO of a company. That's the kind of America that existed back then. But that's not the America. So basically, guys, if you're watching this video from a different country, just I will have you know, America is not the land of opportunity that it used to be. It's just not. So unless you are an elite in your own country, you may not even make it here at all. As I said before, I did not struggle that much to find jobs back in Europe. But when I came here, it was one roadblock after another. So just letting you know. Now, again, let me be clear. If you do make it here, you'll be able to make more money than you probably will ever be able to make in other countries if you're big and you are super successful. But don't think that if you're just an average Joe, you're going to come over here and be able to even make it as a postman, because you won't. So there we go. Watch out, Europeans and anyone else. You don't have to worry about Asia because, they're all pretty elite over there. They come over here and they do fine. But Europeans, watch out. You guys might not make it. So with that said, guys, remember that if you are in the neighborhood here in Irvine, you could check out this really good place to eat, which is Sue the Kitchen. Sue the Kitchen. And now let's continue on with the show. And remember, anything that I that I show you on the channel is not actually making me money. It's making them money. So you can stick it to me and just send them some good money. And that is good. The world is a better place. All right. So Changes in correlations. So we're going to read some investment management and science to teach or to learn. Sorry, investment management, a science to teach or an art to learn. And it is from the CFA Foundation. Get your CFA today. There's 3 different levels of CFA. See if you qualify for the top level of certification. Oh, God. Anyway, so unconditional covariance is a myth, they say. Regime dependence has to be understood. Asset returns still depend on macro factors, but within specific regimes. Economists have to identify regimes. Where are we? Where could we be? Those are fundamental questions that people ask themselves about all the time. And sometimes they're not even related to finance. But anyway. And then model returns within regimes. It can be even more complicated as previously identified. Regimes may entice different returns behavior in the future. Inflation regimes. Oh, we always love to talk about inflation. It's a big deal, inflation. In addition to the problem related to the time-varying nature of correlations, there are estimation issues. Critics argue that diversification is a mathematical concept that is theoretically valid, but whose applicability is difficult. Diversification requires the estimation more precisely, the forecasting of the covariance matrix of returns. The estimation of covariance matrices is, however, subject to many uncertainties. In large portfolios, in particular, empirical covariance matrices are very noisy because of the large number of entries. Ormerod and Helbing, 2012, considered studies by, econophysicists who used random matrix theory. Random matrix theory. They noted that these studies showed that correlation matrices determined from financial return series contain such a high amount of noise that 94% of their spectrum could be fitted by that of a purely random matrix. These critiques are not new. Jacques Olivier, professor of finance and program director of Master in Finance at HEC Paris, cited work by Olivier Ledoux, which means the finger. No. Algorithm of death. It's not about that finger. And Michael Wolff, 2003, on estimating risk of the covariance matrix and the implications of efficient portfolios, and paper by François Longuin and Bruno Solnick, 1995, on the behavior of correlations during extreme events. Even more fundamental critiques of diversification have been made. One such critique comes from ETH Zurich's professor Didier Sornet. He believes that the concept of diversification is intrinsically inapplicable to finance markets because of their non-stationary nature. Michael Dever, CEO and Director of Research at Brandywine Asset Management, and John Webler, 2012, critiqued diversification and related buy and hold investments strategies from another point of view. They wrote, conventional wisdom, i.e. diversification, is flawed because it is dependent on a single set of return drivers. The fact is that when large portfolios of stocks are bought for the long run, diversification does not protect, and capital destruction is virtually guaranteed. Dever and Wibler suggest that proper portfolio diversification should be based on the distribution of risk across numerous return drivers. They defined a return driver as the primary underlying condition propelling the price of a market. They asked, so is there an alternative approach to diversification which does not rely on these flawed assumptions of conventional investment wisdom? The answer is that proper portfolio diversification is based on the distribution of risk across numerous return drivers. Andrew Ang, or Ang, not sure what it is, professor of business at Columbia Business School, also believes that returns result from drivers, but he identifies a different set of return drivers. In his forthcoming book, Asset Management, Professor Ang suggests that one set of factors describes fundamental economy-wide variables like growth, inflation, volatility, productivity, and demographic risk, while another set consists of tradable investment styles like the market portfolio, value growth investing, and momentum investing. The economic theory behind factors can be either rational, where the factors have high returns over the long run to compensate for their low returns during bad times, or behavioral, where the factor risk premiums result from the non-rational behavior of agents that is not arbitraged away. Arbitrage. Anyway, in sum, although diversification is considered to be a sound probabilistic concept, the benefits of diversification may change as market states change, or in particular, as correlations and expected returns change. The naive belief that by simply diversifying a portfolio, the investor is protected against major losses is just that, naive. Large losses in well-diversified portfolios may occur because of excessive leverage, the fat-tailedness of returns, or simply because the returns of most assets and asset classes are negative in a market downturn. Two of the authors of this book, Frank Fabozzi and Sergio Focardi, made this point in the Journal of Portfolio Management in their editorial titled Diversification Should Be Diversifying Trends. What? Okay. So two of the authors of this book, Frank Fabozzi and Sergio Focardi, made this point in the Journal of Portfolio Management in their editorial titled Diversification. Should we be diversifying trends? 2010. Fabozzi and Focardi argued that the increase in correlations of returns is not the critical phenomenon that characterizes market crises. The real problem, they wrote, is the inversion of trends. In time of crisis, most stock returns become negative, and the benefit of diversification is reduced. Using standard statistical tests, Fabozzi and Focardi showed that the behavior of indices such as the S&P 500 in the past 20 years does not follow a random walk, but rather are characterized by the reversal of local trends. An upward-downward trend can be characterized by a regime of positive-negative returns. A trend reversal can be characterized as a regime shift. The authors argued that a different concept of diversification should be introduced. Diversification of local trends. They suggested that investors concentrate on asset classes or market sectors that are characterized by local trends that are not correlated. To make diversification beneficial, they argued investors should look at trend reversals and correlations between local trends. Some might argue that proof of the existence of different states or local trends rests on subtle statistical tests and is therefore not solid. The authors believe, however, that this criticism is ill-conceived. The statistical test on the existence of trends is one of many empirical proofs that economies and financial markets are essentially unstable and are more frequent than not. Excuse my humanity here. Not in conditions of non-equilibrium. Sorry, I got distracted again. I won't say by who, because otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. It's that toxic masculinity. Anyway, states represent the buildup of internal market tensions and their subsequent release. Ultimately, the debate about diversification rests on whether changes in correlations and expected returns are random and unpredictable, or whether they are the results of partially predictable changes in market states. Predictability of these parameters would lead to a shift away from naive diversification and into dynamic asset allocation. Jaap van Dam, head of strategy and research of the Dutch Healthcare Workers Pension Fund, PGGM, commented, I personally and the whole Dutch fund management industry just subscribe to the big lessons of modern portfolio theory, but there are a number of things that should be considered going forward. There is the need for lots of new thinking. Typical MPT and diversification has been to diversify by adding more and more countries, more and more assets, but this is not satisfying. It is necessary to consider factors time diversification. For example, in theory, diversification is measured along the lines of standard deviation, a market index, but one needs an understanding of what one is investing in and the possibility to influence the firms one invests in. Regime shifts should also play a role in thinking about portfolio construction. What is key is to make sure that on the longer horizon, one fulfills the objective of fund and does not successfully under all circumstances. What? Didn't get that bit. One fulfills the objective of the fund, i.e. the investor, and does not successfully under all circumstances. That doesn't make a lot of sense. We will look at the implications of this discussion on teaching diversification in the following chapters. Maybe in the following chapters this will make more sense, but it doesn't make much sense to me right now. Okay, so as I said before yesterday, we're going to talk about optimization, diversification formalized. So yeah, there was somebody who commented on the channel yesterday, and they said, you haven't kept all of your promises on the channel, Mark Reviews. There's one promise that you haven't kept. And I said, what is that? What is that promise that I haven't kept? Well, they said, you haven't kept your garage or the garage you work in clean. And I said, yes, you are correct. I'm working on it. It's been a work in progress, like the church, one of the churches in Milan. The work is never done. They're constantly trying to fix stuff because of all the pollution, air pollution. The building, which is white, tends to gray really quickly. And also the acid rain and stuff takes down the building. So that's one of the bad things about living in Milan, Italy, is your lungs will turn black very quickly. And if you leave any of your stuff, like some people like to leave their laundry to dry on the balcony, well, you can't really do that because it turns black. So big cities, not a fan. Anyway, so optimization, diversification formalized. In the methodology of neoclassical finance, efficient diversification of portfolios, Markowitz's phrase is accomplished through mean variance optimization, MVO. Broadly, optimization refers to a family of approaches to portfolio construction that are grounded in Markowitz's work, but that may differ from his original formulation to deal with the model's unrealistic assumptions and the practical challenges in implementation. The differences include the use of alternative risk measures such as tracking error and value at risk, consideration of transaction costs, portfolio management constraints, and sensitivity to the estimates of expected returns and covariances. In addition, new trends and developments in MVO include risk parity portfolios, the mixing of sources of alpha, and practical multi-period portfolio optimization. For discussions of these extensions and trends, see Colm Tutunku, I have no idea how to say that, and Fabozzi 2014. Some observers, particularly in the industry and in the popular press, refer to optimization and related techniques as MPT. This nomenclature is confusing. Optimization is not modern, nor is it theory. It is a tool. For a given set of inputs, the output portfolio is efficient according to a set of pre-specified criteria. Some utility theory lies behind the claim, but it is not a theory in a philosophical sense. It is not empirically verifiable or falsifiable. The term MPT is also used more broadly to refer to the entire body of quantitative finance knowledge developed between Markowitz 1952 and to give one person's view of the endpoint, the option pricing work of Fisher Black and Miron Scholes, 1973, or dynamic portfolio optimization, Merton, 1973. For Markowitz's original method, we use the term MVO. MVO requires knowledge of expected returns and the covariance matrix of returns. Several variations of MVO have been proposed. They are based on utility functions and might require the knowledge of the joint distribution of returns. Following the 2007-2009 financial crisis, MVO was declared by some to be dead, together with the entire body of quantitative finance knowledge captured by use of the broader term MPT. The critique focused on the fact that a true risk-return trade-off went amiss. Most assets had negative returns and forecasting tools had failed. Three aspects of the issue can be distinguished. Number one, the validity of MVO as a decision-making rule. The applicability of MVO in light of analysts' ability to forecast, and the applicability of MVO in a period of negative returns, that is, large negative market swings. The critique and defense of MVO are summarized in Exhibit 2.2, which I'll show you in a second. As with diversification, the mathematics of MVO is not an issue. The question is, does the math of MVO correspond to the empirical reality of investments? The problem is whether or not a meaningful separation can be empirically found between diversifiable unrewarded risk and non-diversifiable rewarded risk. The defenders of MVO maintain that the separation can be found. Some argue that, although neoclassical finance, as it is presently practiced, is not a realistic framework for investment decision-making, incremental changes are possible. So here is Exhibit 2.2. Is that even legible? I don't know. So it says Exhibit 2.2, the defense and critique of MVO. Defense of MVO. MVO is a fundamental building block of investment theory and practice because it prescribes the optimization of risk-return trade-off, and it prescribes that we look at the global risk of a portfolio, not only the risk of its individual components. Incremental improvement in the method is possible, but the fundamental concept is sound. Liabilities may be incorporated as assets held short. MVO, which is the other bit that I'm talking about. So the first one that I just spoke of was defense of MVO. Now we're going to talk about critique of MVO. So MVO is an oversimplification that relies on diversification in a naive way. It does not recognize the difficulty in forecasting expected returns and covariances, or forecasting the multivariate probability distribution of returns. As a decision-making rule, MVO does not explicitly recognize the liability aspects of investment management, so elaborate workarounds are required. Also, basic MVO does not consider fat tails. So one thing that I will say is we're going to continue on with this book tomorrow, as they say. One of the good things about reading things in a non-monotone way, or even having imperfections in your voice, such as, speech impediments, is that students have to actually focus a little bit harder on learning the things that they're learning. So I noticed that even though I did have a speech impediment, it didn't really make it harder for the kids to focus, because they had to focus harder on making sure they could understand, and sometimes raise their hand and ask to see if they understood the word that I said and mispronounced. But similarly, when I was back in the day in school, back in Kent, I was in University of Kent at Canterbury, UK, and I can't stop remembering. I can't remember the name of the professor. I'm not going to name drop just in case I get in trouble with him. He was a great professor, but anyway, part of the reason why his lectures in this huge theater were good was because he mispronounced certain words, and so it kept us children focused on his class, because sometimes, he would go a little bit monotone, and so we would start phasing off. But then we would hear trigger words such as machines. He didn't used to say machines. He may have been of Greek origin or something. So he would say machines, and different things like that. Can't remember all of the words, but anyway, that would keep us awake, and thank goodness it did, because then we were able to pass exams and stuff. But yeah. So for all you people out there, decision makers, bringing in new teachers, don't just get rid of the disabled people just because they have lisps or whatever, because they can teach just as well, and sometimes the lisp and the mispronunciation of words helps the kids not fall asleep in class. Anyway, teach decision makers about hiring the proper people is hard. It really is. Anyway, daiquiri. We're gonna jump into voglia di cucinare, cocktail classici e esotici. Ingredienti. So the ingredients, so we're gonna go into and don't be lazy, just do a Google search. There's a Google Translate for everything these days. Ingredienti. I'm gonna teach you Italian by not teaching you Italian. It's the old-fashioned Chinese way. Anyway, so ingredienti. 6 decimi rum bianco, 3 decimi succo di limone o di lime, which is lime. 1 decimo sciroppo di canna o di zucchero. Si prepara nello shaker con 3 o 4 cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino e si serve nella coppetta da cocktail ben fredda. Si tratta di un blended cocktail poco alcolico che può essere servito come digestivo. Numerosi cocktail a base di rum derivano dal daiquiri, di cui spesso ripropongono la magnifica combinazione rum-succo di limone. Di lime. Daiquiri è il nome di una Daiquiri è il nome di una miniera di rame, chiamata come il paese vicino e la spiaggia su cui si affaccia. Nel 1898 l'ingegnere minerario Jennings Cox, YouTube of death. Cox is a company just like the one that makes internet, it's an internet provider. The things you need to tell the algorithm these days. So, nel 1898 l'ingegnere minerario Jennings Cox, miscelando succo di lime e Bacardi, inventò questo drink. There was some kind of mind going on there, and the engineer Jennings Cox invented this lime Bacardi drink. All right, so now we're going to go into fizzes. Can you guys read anything? Is Tim, our favorite chef, helping out today? I think he is. I think he might be helping today. Good. I like that. Fizzes gin fizzes. Ingredienti: 4 cl gin, un cucchiaio di zucchero o di sciroppo da canna, il succo di un limone soda, Si prepara miscelando nello shaker il gin, lo zucchero e il succo di limone con cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino e si serve nel bicchiere tumbler alto, senza ghiaccio. Completare con la soda ben fredda. Florida, Florida. This is a good place. It's Florida. Florida. La Florida. I went there to teach once with ID Tech camps. It was fantastic. Loved the place. I wish I'd stayed there. Actually, I should have moved there because working there was fantastic. The people are just kinder. They're just kinder over there. I don't know what it is with Californians. They're just so into their TV specials, The Circle and all those other TV shows, The Voice, whatever it is. It's so competitive out here. Anyway, if I didn't have a family, I would have just up and gone to Florida or somewhere else. Anyway, ingredienti. Where's the other place? There was this one guy that I met over there in Florida, and he was a coder, a really nice guy. I don't know if it was North or South Dakota. Maybe it was North or South Dakota. He said that the place over there is fantastic. It's a little cold, but the people are just so kind. It's easier to find jobs. It's like, but I guess he came to Florida because of the weather. I don't know. Anyway, nice guy. Ingredienti, shout out to him. 5 decimi succo d'arancia, 3 decimi succo di limone, 2 decimi granatina. So Florida. Si prepara nello shaker con cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino e si serve nel bicchiere tumbler alto decorando con frutta di stagione. Now we're going to do French connection. We all love our French connections, don't we? I went to France a couple of times, I think it was. Definitely went to Canada a couple of times. And I lived in Switzerland. So my French should be good. Good enough to get me a job. No. No, not in California. Not in California. Maybe somewhere else. Anyway, so French connection. Let's go. French connection. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some, once I finish this, there's still a couple of cocktails here. But I'm going to get a French book or something, and we could read from a French book too. Why not? Maybe I can get a book, Spanish, Español, if you will. Muy caliente. Anyway, get a Spanish book too. It's just read from a bunch of different languages. I'm not going to be able to read from Chinese because I can't read the characters, or the kanji from Japanese. It'd be nice if I could. I would have to guesstimate. Well, maybe I could use, if they have like the kanji turned into those like sort of the English representation underneath, I could try to read something like that. I did that with Chinese and Japanese, but Japanese comes more naturally to me because the tones. I'm just tone deaf when it comes to Chinese. So anyway, let's get into the French connection. Mezzo amaretto, mezzo brandy. So this is one of the easiest ones ever, I guess. Versare direttamente in un bicchiere old fashioned con ghiaccio cristallino e mescolare. You just have 2 ingredients. You just half of half. Dump it into a glass, mix it up, and you're done. Garibaldi was somebody back in the day in Italy. I can't remember if he was a general. Maybe he was a general. Look it up. Don't make me do all the work for you. And in a minute, if you look over here on the screen, it'll pop up a video with Garibaldi. 6 decimi succo di arancia, 3 decimi Campari. Versare in un bicchiere tumbler alto con alcuni cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino e decorare con mezza fetta d'arancia facoltativa. So you could put half a slice of orange if you want, but you don't have to. Gimlet. We'll do the gimlet next. Here, the gimlet. 7 decimi gin o vodka, 3 decimi cordial, succo di lime. Si prepara nello shaker con cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino e si serve nella coppetta da cocktail ben fredda. Excuse me, wow, just can't get over the... I must be talking too much. It's got burps galore here. We're gonna do gin and French. Ingredienti: 3 quinti gin, 2 quinti vermouth dry francese. Prepara nel mixing glass con ghiaccio cristallino e servire nella coppetta da cocktail ben fredda, decorando con una spirale di scorza di limone. Gin and it. Gin in it. Let's see what gin in it is all about. It says ingredienti: 7 decimi gin, 3 decimi vermouth rosso italiano. It's got to be the Italian vermouth rosso, otherwise nothing. Versare nel mixing glass con ghiaccio cristallino e servire nella coppetta da cocktail ben fredda, decorando con una ciliegina. And then we're gonna start with Gibson tomorrow. Gibson. It's not Mel, but maybe it was invented because of Mel. We'll never know. Mel Gibson. No, it's not. Oh, the days and nights. Let's get into some good stuff, guys. Let's learn about how to fix your body without sticking things like needles, taking drugs that might kill your liver eventually and stuff. The Chinese way, the Chinese way. In the words of Donald Duck, the Chinese way. Donald Duck, Donald. Oh, Donald. By the way, I'm just gonna put it out there for you guys. In case you didn't know, Joe Obama's getting reelected. Joe Obama's getting reelected again, so we're gonna have another 4 years of Joe Obama. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm just telling you, just be prepared. Be prepared. Na. Be prepared for another year, for another 4 years of Joe Obama. And for those people who are worried about, well, he doesn't seem all too vivacious. Vivacious is the word of the day today. Vivacious. He's not going to make it to, another 4 years. He's going to bite the dust before. Don't worry. There are robots now that can look like him, so you won't be able to tell the difference. They'll just replace him with a robot. Nobody will be the wiser because, again, that's the reason why they picked him to begin with. You can't tell if he's joking or not. You can't tell if he's sane or not. He doesn't really know where he is. So a robot can read from a teleprompter. You don't really need a human president anymore. So don't worry about that. We're going to have another 4 years of Joe Obama. And just don't expect him to give you high fives or anything. He may just be behind a podium all the time, waving and stuff. But it'll still be him. Don't worry. That's how they were trying to get Miss Clinton. When Miss Clinton had her little stroke issue, whatever it was, where she couldn't continue to campaign for a little while, we saw her all better all of a sudden. That was a robot. That was not really her. So anyway, let's get into the 10 stages of diagnostics. Gosh, I can't even say that word. The 10 stages, the 10 stages. The 10 stages of diagnostics and therapeutic. Give me a chill pill. The 10 stages of diagnostics and therapeutics in traditional Chinese medicine. It's always, eye candy is always the best. I can't stress it enough. Anyway, the chief editor of 21st Century Celebrities, Luo Yi, interviewed Zhang Chen-eng, professor at the College of Traditional Chinese Medicine, TCM, Capital Medical University, on December 8th, 2006. The partial dialogues are as follows. Luo, abbreviation for Luo Yi, Zhang, abbreviation for Professor Zhang Cheng-un, Luo. Could you tell me why TCM is called the quintessence of China? Zhang, because the old line TCM is not only an important part of Chinese culture, but also a valuable cultural heritage in the world. TCM has two basic characteristics, one of which is the concept of holism, the other syndrome differentiation and treatment. The former underlines the human body as an organic whole, and the human beings are interrelated with nature. The latter means using different therapeutic methods according to the essence of the syndrome at a certain stage of the disease. TCM originated in the New Stone Age and formed its systemic theory in the spring and autumn period, and with the warring states closely allied to the development and evolvement of the economy, culture, science, and technology of ancient China. Regardless of whether you are aware or not, most of the traditional medicines of other countries have been displaced or overtaken by modern medicine. However, TCM still stands out and is widely used in the 21st century, while science and technology is becoming highly developed. It can be seen TCM contains great vital force. When Western culture comes in conflict today, there are a group of successors who make great efforts to protect the national treasure and continue to make it contribute to human health. Luo, Professor Zhang, could you tell me how TCM works? Jam, to answer the question at first, I'd like to tell you what a physician of TCM is. Looking back at the history of TCM, there are 4 ways to become a formal physician of TCM: through handing down in the family, learning from the masters directly, studying in the University of TCM, and learning by oneself. Whatever way he chooses, the candidate must pass the national license exam and then be able to pursue this career. It is not easy to become a good physician of TCM, since TCM is like an elaborate art in its course. During my 50 years of clinical experience, I summarized 10 diagnostics and therapeutics stages in TCM for the beginner and enthusiast to grasp the main points of its theory and enhance the curative effects of patients. The 10 stages are: 1. Presentation of the symptoms and pulses. 2. Synthesis of 4 diagnostics. 3. Estimation of disease field. 4. Syndrome differentiation of various diseases. 5. 8. Principal pattern identification. 6. Distinction of the formula syndrome. 7. Formation of the therapeutic principles. 8. Draft of therapeutic methods. 9. Selection of the formulas and drugs. And 10. Observation and nursing. Among them, the first to the 6th steps belong to the syndrome differentiation category, through which the crux of the problem is gotten. Besides, they are the physician cognition about the syndrome. The 7th to 10th steps belong to the treatment category, through which the physician projects a thorough scheme for therapy. They are the physician's technique regarding the cure of the disease and the return of yin and yang to harmony, as well as the return of the pulse presentation to normal. See figure 1. I'm going to show you the figure 1 over here. And if anybody wants to, they can always take figure 1 from this one and then create their own video and tell us how to say all these cool things in Chinese. That would be awesome. That would be something useful that you could do for the channel. You won't, because I've been saying this for now over a month and nobody's bothered to do anything about it. But, you know, it doesn't stop me from trying. Keep trying. Just keep trying. That's what they tell you. Eventually, you'll get there. You might have gray hairs, a pruny-looking face. You may be on your deathbed, but keep trying. Oh, God. Anyway, patient and physician. So we're going to go down through the patient line, and then we're going to go down through the inpatient line. No, the physician line. Presentation of the symptoms and pulses. So the patient usually goes from there all the way down to the last bit. So it's better to go from the physician, because although the patient goes from presentation of the symptoms and pulses, the next step is directly to basically the job of the physician to go and say, okay, let's do the synthesis of the 4 diagnostics, which then branches out into 2, which is step 3, estimation of the disease field, and then 7, formation of the therapeutic principles. It then branches out twice from those 2 sides. That's going to be 3 and 7, down to 4 and 8. So 4 is going to be syndrome differentiation of various diseases, and 8, draft for the therapeutic methods. It branches out once more to 5 and 9 this time. So syndrome identification with 8 principles and selection of the formulas and drugs. It branches out once more to 6 and 10. 6, distinction of the formula syndrome, and 10, observing nursing after treatment. So it says figure 1, there's 10 stages of diagnostics and therapeutics in traditional Chinese medicine. Awesome. So starting tomorrow, we're going to get down and dirty with it, and we're going to go with presentation of the symptoms and pulses. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. If you're not excited, get excited. Somehow. Get high on life. Don't take drugs to get high on life. You should be high on life because you've done your meditation in the morning. You spent some time in the sun doing your Tai Chi, Chuan, Gong Fu. I would hope. Anyway, got distracted again. It's a problem. When you live in Irvine, there's just beautiful people just everywhere. I'm just going to say people. All right, guys, want to stick it to me one more time? You can go and buy this amazing book here. You can find it. It's called Secret Origin of Wing Chun. It is on Amazon. I made a review on it. I can't remember where it was. At some point, I will remember what it is. I know that it's probably on that old app that nobody uses anymore. What is it? I can't remember. It's got a red icon, and it's for restaurants and stuff. Oh, yeah, it's Yelp. Anyway, so Grandmaster Tang Wong is waiting for you to join his gym as well as his students. There's different places where you can do it, but Monterey Park is the main place to get started. Sign away your liability form so you don't get into trouble, and get ready. Get ready to learn and master the art of Wing Chun, Yang Chuan. Anyway, so Secret Origin of Wing Chun. You can find this on Amazon. If you can't find it on Amazon, I don't know. Get better at looking at stuff. I mean, it's pretty easy. I found it. So if I can find it, you can find it. Oh, gosh. Oh, golly. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the latest and greatest Walmart van? I mean, I think it's cool. I think it looks a lot like the things that we've been creating at Marvimation for the past 10 or more years. What about these ones, the Google cars? They look kind of familiar, don't they? They look pretty cool. What about the latest and greatest van, Prime van, and the Amazon sports car? What do you guys think about all these cool new things that are out there today that are driving around? I think they're pretty cool. Anyway, with that said, guys, hope you guys are having a fantastic day. 69 minutes. It's perfect time to say bye. It was good. It was fun. It was real. Remember to vote yes on Prop 69.